Thank you for tuning in. Let's start with this. I want to explain some things here briefly. Then we'll get to the main topic. This topic is kind of similar to something I mentioned in the video I posted the other day about Hoyoverse, in the sense that this is something I actually intended on covering a while back, but I never got to. And that's ultimately my fault. I got to be more efficient with how I cover things, and also better at choosing which topics to actually cover. Because if you did not see that Hoyoverse video that I mentioned, essentially I talked about how months back, about 2 months ago or so, when we had the Cognoverse news for MiHoYo and all that, I had looked on LinkedIn out of curiosity to see job openings at MiHoYo, and I noticed something really odd. And that was that they are actually hiring people for positions in the US. It looks like they're opening more offices in the United States, or at the very least expanding their current operations internationally. So I planned on running a segment about all that. Never actually did it though. My fault. I certainly should have, because that news was very important at the time, and it's only become more important with the recent news we've had about Hoyoverse and the fact that they put out in their press release and even their about page on their website that they plan on operating more internationally as well. So that's something I should have covered then, and it's my fault ultimately that I did not. I bring that up because this topic is kind of similar in that sense. It's a completely different topic. We're talking about a voice actor here in a moment, but it's still something I should have covered back when it actually occurred a number of months back, and I never did. If you don't know how I operate, essentially, I will constantly be looking for things to talk about, whether that's news or things going on in a community that's less news and more so just, toxicity or something like that. Occasionally, I'll do something just completely lighthearted, just kind of joking around, having a good time. At the same time, people send me a lot of tags on Twitter and emails with topics they think I might want to talk about as well that you guys want to hear. So it's a combination of all that. Ultimately, I get a lot of these topics and I write them down in a notepad and I pick which ones to cover. As I mentioned in the Hoyoverse video, I got like 40 topics, plenty of things I've never gotten to. Ultimately, this leads me back to the main point that I'm trying to make here, which is my bad. I'll try to cover things more efficiently and I'll try to get to some of these topics better. In other words, I'll try to prioritize stuff that I think should actually be prioritized better than I have in the past. So now with that all said, let me tie it into the main topic at hand here, because as I already alluded to, this is something that happened a number of months back. However, I want to still bring it to the table. I want to talk about it and share it with you because I think this is a situation that not a lot of people know about, at least compared to other situations like Kokomi's VA getting harassed and Griffin Burns being harassed while he's at the freaking hospital of all places. So yeah, this is another important situation that I think should be discussed. Again, my bad for not discussing it sooner, but here we are now. Let me fill you in. It involves the VA Khoi Dao. You might know him in-game as a character called Albedo. So we have Khoi on a live stream, having a good time, with another Genshin VA you might know, Zach Aguilar, voice of the Traveler. If only Paimon would let him speak a bit more, though. Okay, jokes aside, I'll stay serious for this topic. Okay. Actually, it's ironic because we're here for a joke that was made. That's why people were trying to cancel him. Or at the very least, people were very offended by what he said. Some people don't want to make it seem like the whole community was against him. That's not the case. You know how it is, though. Some people were very offended by this. Anyways, enough talking by me. Here's the joke, and we'll continue on after that.
Koi, go ahead.
Oh wait, I'm just looking at my new haircut and my webcam view.
Oh, that's right. You cut off your luscious locks.
I went from looking like a woman to looking like a lesbian. It's my two modes.
You look great, Koi.
I've been shipped with that demographic, despite being quite violently male.
All right, there's the joke. I think it's reasonable to say that he probably could have phrased that a bit better. But guess what? I'm sure Koi knows that. And also, guess what? Sometimes people make a joke and they don't phrase it right. Dude made a joke, could have had better delivery. Personally, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But then again, I don't perpetually live on Twitter. Now, what's crazy though, is looking back on this joke, everyone's laughing, having a good time. Little did they know that at that moment, the mob was already starting to form. Pitchforks in hand on Twitter, people were getting ready to go after this guy. I'd also like to mention that before this all happened, Koi had been on stream a couple months before this, I believe it was, saying lesbian rights, advocating for lesbian rights. Oh, how quickly people would forget he said that and be glad to stab a knife in the guy's back.
Koi say lesbian rights. Lesbian rights!
I'll say
Easy.
lesbian rights.
Yeah, lesbian rights.
We'll both say it.
Yay! Thank you, spam weights. Where would we be without lesbians? I ask you.
We wouldn't be in a good place.
Some people did defend Khoi from the mob, though, bringing this clip up, for example, but they were met with responses like this. This doesn't erase the fact that Khoi said what he did. If you're not a lesbian, it's not your place to speak. Please shut up. Khoi himself would issue an apology, which I think I already mentioned ended up getting deleted by him because a lot of people got even more offended by him after he made this apology. Now, before I show you the apology, I want to preface it by saying this. I have a hunch, just a hunch, that if Khoi knew what he probably currently knows about the Genshin Impact community, all the terrible things that the community has done to people from the time that he has issued this apology up until now, I have a hunch that he would not have deleted this apology. Because the apology was made back in August. And from August up until this point, we've seen so much more toxicity in the Genshin fandom. Don't get me wrong, it was already toxic at that point. But the fact is, examples of the Genshin fandom's toxicity have only compounded since then. Alright, so Khoi had this to say. Some of you are upset about something I said 2 months ago. Given the timing you chose to bring it up, it's really hard for me to believe this is all in good faith. But as my friends are now being harassed about this too, I'd like to give the benefit of the doubt and address it. The quip referenced my own experience as someone with some feminine features. I sometimes get called a girl when I have long hair. I sometimes get called a lesbian when I have short hair. I'd just gotten a haircut at the time, so I alluded to this while chatting. If knowing this, what I still said rubs you the wrong way, of course I'm sorry. I never want to make anyone uncomfy. To those going so far as to call it harmful, no. I did not express a viewpoint, negatively connotated or otherwise, about what a lesbian should look like. I definitely could have been clearer, but at the end of the day, it's all just so innocuous. Please don't cheapen what phobia against lesbians actually is by misconstruing my words and trying to elevate this to that level. And to those who actually do care this much, good, I'm glad. I think your efforts would be better spent combating actual hate out there rather than policing the virtuousness of an actor. Because listen, this is definitely going to happen again. I'm a dang idiot. I'm going to do or say something again in the future that'll get telephone gamed into some wildly offensive stuff 100%. To those who have afforded me the room to be human and make mistakes, thank you. I'm sorry for what's happening. You are my world. And yeah, I've limited who can reply because A, you kids scare the heck out of me, and B, I don't want anyone dogpiling on anyone else and scaring them into expressing views they don't actually hold. Some of the negative responses to his apology would include things like this. Love how you mistakenly said you would make mistakes, and you don't think small instances of this sort of phobia are impactful. Here's the original tweet, and a big frick you to your grown cishet male butt for thinking you can get away with being immature, phobic, and self-entitled. That same person pinned that tweet, and it's still their pinned tweet up until this day. I can only presume that they want people to know about it. They take pride in that tweet or something. Same person responded to Tectone the other day when Tectone talked about the video on TikTok with over 60k likes that was advocating for him to lose his life, saying, "Purr, and for all your racist rhetoric and blatant ignorance towards your actions, I'd say this is fitting." You know, I can't help but wonder if someone like this is actually against the LGBT community or something, and they're acting as some kind of operative to make them look bad. Although we have seen people unironically say these sort of things too, so who the heck knows? This response to Khoi's apology got over 1,800 likes, saying, "As a lesbian, Khoi Dao's joke rubbed me the wrong way, but I wasn't too offended by it because I know he didn't have ill intentions. The train wreck of an apology, though. How are you going to dictate what this phobia is as a heterosexual male? Makes no sense." Another response to Khoi's apology with over 1,400 likes says, "The thing non-lesbians need to understand is that you are never in place to tell us what is or isn't a harmful stereotype, and Khoi did exactly that in his thread. If you truly care about your lesbian followers, please address that you spoke over lesbians. Thank you." It's kind of weird to me how some of these people act like lesbians all have a hive mind and no individual thought process at all, because I can guarantee you there's going to be lesbians watching this video that don't agree with what people are saying about Khoi, and actually don't mind his apology. Also keep in mind, all this stuff, as you know, happened a number of months back. And I don't have all the examples of what people have said in response to Khoi. These are some of the ones that had more engagement, but there were also people sending him just overt hate, as you can imagine. For example, this tweet says, "The apology was so bad, but I can understand IG. He was being bombarded with all these unneeded hate messages, death threats, and more, so he was probably not in the right state of mind. It's a good thing he deleted it. I hope he makes a good one next time." And that's in response to someone saying, with exactly 400 likes, yikes, I did not have a problem with Khoi Dao's joke as a lesbian because it was a small and mostly harmless but distasteful joke. But geez, how do you screw up an apology that bad? You also had people essentially trying to get their followers to unfollow, to no longer support Khoi Dao after all of this. And Khoi would ultimately issue this new statement saying, guys, I messed up. I hear you. I see you. I've thought about it, and I want to say I'm really sorry to those that I've hurt with my comments. In trying to explain my intentions and perspective, I missed the mark. I didn't take the time to reflect and listen and let my defensiveness get the better of me. I promise I'm going to do my best to learn from this and watch my words and intentions moving forward. To those of you who I hurt, I am genuinely sorry, and I hope you can forgive me. Both tweets collecting over a total of 25,000 plus likes. Someone else would respond to that statement, compiling a list of reasons why people should be upset at Khoi Dao, to which he also responded saying, hey, you're right, I made the initial apology in quotes from a place of anger. I made the mistake of tweeting without a clear head and deleted once I'd realized what I'd communicated. Inadvertently or not, it wasn't right. I absolutely regret it, and I get it if people are still upset. You actually got a response here from someone, though, saying, Khoi, you absolutely do not need to explain yourself further. You've apologized properly, and I have accepted it despite not finding the original joke offensive in the first place. The timing of this, quote, drama is rubbing me the wrong way, as well as many others. We all love you, babe. Now, if you want to see the rest of the thread that Khoi was responding to there, where that person lists the reasons why people should be upset at him, I'll have it here on screen for you. Feel free to pause the video and take a look if you'd like. Ultimately, I believe that covers the situation, but hey, as a disclaimer, maybe I missed some things or had some of that out of order, so make of all this what you will. Ultimately, make your own opinion on this stuff, and if you want to look into it some more, you know where to find this stuff. Go on Twitter, search up like Khoi Dao, and any word along with that you think will pull this stuff up. I'd like to close with my own apology of sorts, once again, for covering this late. So, an apology to all of you guys, and also an apology to Khoi, because I kind of feel bad for bringing this stuff up again. But ultimately, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I do think this is an important topic that kind of flew under the radar and a lot of people don't know about. And in light of recent events in the Genshin Impact community, and not so recent events that occurred after this particular situation up until now, I do think it warrants a discussion. And it is another piece of the Genshin Impact community's history, so to speak. Hopefully things move forward in a more positive light, though. That would be nice. We'll see. As always, guys, thank you for tuning in. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you there. And also in the next segment, which will be tomorrow.